Hi, my name is Imani and today I'm going to be talking about the different scales that we learned about in our book. This measurement for attitudes was developed in 1928 by psychologist Luis. He had an elaborate way of getting people's answers or how they felt or believed concerning certain social issues. So today, out of the three that were discussed in our book, I will be talking about the Likert scale. The Likert scale was one that really grabbed my attention because it's one that I noticed I have seen throughout the course of my life frequently. So I wanted to talk about the Likert scale and really go into depth on what it is and how it was developed and things like that. The Likert scale was developed by psychologist Renice, I think I'm saying that right, Likert. The Likert scale makes statements and requires for the respondent to respond to the statement with either strongly, on a continuum of strongly agree or strongly disagree. And usually in those continuums, there's a numerical order, so ranging from 1 to 7 or 1 to 5 are the most popular, psychologists say, because it doesn't overwhelm the respondent and you can get a more for sure answer versus a gray scale. When they do them from 1 to 10, they say that, not 1 to 10, I'm sorry. When they do it from 1 to 100, they say that's a little bit too much. It becomes overwhelming to the respondent and you don't really get the a better answer, a better understanding of what the respondent was putting out there. So 1 to 5 or 1 to 7 on a strongly like to a strongly dislike is the best way to do your Likert scale continuum. Today I'm going to talk about the most recent Likert scale experience that I had. It was this past summer in my interpersonal communications. The professor had us take a survey, and it was a survey basically to see what kind of marriage we preferred or the type of person we were or would be in our relationship, and kind of what kind of marriage you preferred. And so it asked questions like, for an example, do you believe a husband should have their own working space or like a game room for themselves, a chance to get away from the other spouse? It also asks questions, do you believe that the woman should take the husband's last name when she marries? It even asks the question, do you believe the spouse should open up the other spouse's mail? And so it had a list of 16 questions that it asked us, and out of all the 16 questions, at the end it determined what kind of spouse you were or what kind of marriage you would prefer. So I'm going to go ahead and discuss the three types they decided to talk about. So I'm going to read it off this paper because they were very elaborate details and I just thought it would be important to discuss. So the first one, at the end of the survey, it said you were either going to be a traditional marriage, independent couples, or separate couples. It said that traditional couples share basic belief system and philosophy of life. They also were a blending of two persons. They were interdependent. It said that they believed in traditional sex roles. Communication was a healthy, responsive to each other. The relationship was permanent. They didn't discuss divorce or separation. It said the independent couples see themselves as separate, single. They didn't see themselves as one unit. It said that the communication was responsive. It said they engage in conflict openly, like in front of people. They didn't mind arguing and without fear. So they were okay with approaching each other. It didn't matter where. And it said that they had extensive disclosure. The separate couples lived together, but relationship was more of a convenience. So the relationship was more of a convenience in the separate couples. They're usually only together for ritual settings, ritual events. They weren't always together all the time, 24/7, but they came together for sure for ritual functions. Each has a physical and a psychological space. Traditional values and beliefs about sex roles they had traditional values and beliefs about sex roles, so that was something they did do, but they didn't view themselves as a we. They were separate, like your husband, your wife. We're not one unit. And so I thought that was pretty interesting. And when I took this survey, it really brought up some emotions within me because I am currently married. And it made me, when I took the survey, it said that I was traditional. But in my marriage, we're more like independent. And so it really, we were a mixture of both of them. But what my heart desires was traditional. So after taking the survey, it really made me think about some things and wanted to go home and work on some things in my marriage to be more what my heart desired. So in conclusion, Likert scales are used more frequently than we notice. From school surveys, I remember this past week my daughter's school sent me over a survey to take and asked me, and it was a Likert scale, and they asked me from 1 to 5, strongly agree, strongly disagree, how I viewed the teacher, how I viewed the school, and the way they run the school. And so I thought that was pretty interesting that they cared that much about parents' response into how their children are being taken care of at the elementary school. So we see these Likert scales a lot, and even at the end of this course, at the end of this year, we're going to get another one for to examine our professors and rate our professors. So no matter where you go, if you really pay attention, that this Likert scale is used a lot more frequently than we notice, and it's very good in the way it formulates and really tries to get the respondent's view and how they feel concerning social issues or sexual roles, whatever it might be. And so when next time when you are about to take a Likert scale, really examine and see, was it worded correctly? What did it feel overwhelming? And that's all I have today. Thank you so much.